No, so we will keep coming back to you, Sanjay, in the course of today's conversation. But because we have so many others also from the Northeast, I think, we thought that it would be a lovely idea of bringing everybody together to see you off on, before you leave. But so perhaps I can draw in Mr. Supuraj Gogoi, who is one of the co-founders of NatVenture and a fellow cyclist who, as I wanted to tell you, he's done one of the trips that he talked about to me was a 500-kilometer cycling trip that NatVenture had organized, and he had done from Guwahati to Tawang. And they had also crossed Sela Pass, which is at 13,700 feet. So that's quite something. Supuraj, can we have you join in? You're an adventurer at heart. You do cycling, you do biking, rafting, all of that. But today, since we're talking about cycling, may I ask you a very simple question? How do you think soft adventure and particularly cycling can be or become the backbone of the tourism for tomorrow in the Northeast? Supuraj, are you there?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Loud and clear. Tell us.
Great.
How do you think cycling will, become important to the Northeast going forward?
As Sanjay sir just said, the Northeast and Assam is a cyclist paradise, actually. It is blessed with all greeneries and beautiful stretches of roads and beautiful villages. So we have got a tremendous potential for promoting Northeast as a cycling destination. That's what I'm trying to do for a long time. I mean, since I started an adventure, because I have seen that cycling has come up in a very big way in this region. And then apart from cycling doing a good, tourism promotion globally, I mean, I've seen many cyclists are coming to India from different parts of the world. They travel from Manali, Leh. I thought, why not introduce cycling in this part of the country? So that's how we started an adventure. And then we are the pioneers of starting this Guwahati Tawang on bicycles, actually. So, and then we did many trips, like we did Assam expedition. We started from Dhubri to this Dhola Sadio Bridge, from one end of Assam to the other end of Assam, actually. And then we do many trips like Guwahati to Nagaland and various other cycling activities. So Assam is blessed with all kinds of roads, beautiful mountains. So I think cycling has a big way to go. And then all we need is to promote this region as a cycling destination to the world.
Thank you so much for that, Supuraj. And here I have a small confession to make. I cannot cycle. Please do not judge me. I can pillion ride, but I cannot cycle. So if anybody is going cycling, please, if you have a pillion seat, you know who to call. Thank you so much.
The two of us.
Excellent. See, now all the
so all
come
the
out.
People can come ahead.
Yeah.
That makes three of us.
Oh, yay. Dear Lord, I mean, that's not this is, you have so many of us waiting to learn. That's I think.
Let me tell you something. I have, last year in 2019, we had a group of tourists from Pune. There were three girls. One of them, actually, she's learned cycling just a month ago, and then she completed the trip to Tawang. So I think all of you can very well do cycling as well.
Thank you,
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you for a tricycle when I come.
Of course.
There is hope. Speaking of hope, I don't know, because I thought it was very beautifully put by Sanjay, actually, when he said that cycling also allows you to stop and smell the roses. He said it in his own beautiful way, saying the slice of, you're just seeing a slice of life along the way, visiting people along the route and villages. Yes. So perhaps I can draw in. Sorry, I was muted for a bit. Perhaps I can draw in Mr. Jaideep Bansal now, who is the COO at GHE, Global Himalayan Expedition, which is a social enterprise that brings in sustainable development through solar energy in remote Himalayan villages. Winner of the the 2020 UN Climate Action Award, GHE has electrified 131 villages and lit up the lives of more than 60,000 people. So Jaideep, just to come back to you and, on that note and talk to you perhaps about how you think sustainability, which is such a crucial part of what you do, and then you, take it beyond sustainability and bring in livelihoods through the creation of homestays in some of the remotest locations of the country. How do you think that is going to, be a strength for the Northeast, especially since there are a lot of parts. I mean, there are many homestays across the Northeast, but nearly not enough, right? As we know. So, do tell us what you think about that.
Thank you so much, Soiti, and thank you, Rupinder ma'am, for having me on this webinar. And great to see the efforts taken by Sanjay sir on leveraging cycling as a means to promote the northeast part of India. And coming from an army background, my father was in the Indian Army, so I've stayed in the Northeast when I was a child. And coming back there again to work on the development angle, it's an eye-opener, but also eye-opener in the sense that there are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to the Northeast states. Northeast is very much very well connected in the present day and time. I mean, to give you an idea, you can, and our team did it. We went from Leh all the way to Mon in Nagaland in just one day. We started from Leh in the morning and we were in Mon by evening to have a dinner. So that's how good the connectivity has become of late. Of course, there are still some areas that need to be connected, but we just brought solar energy to a remote village in the Mon district in Nagaland on the Indo-Myanmar border, but there was 4G connectivity all throughout. So there is mobile penetration that's happened in these areas. There is good road connectivity that's coming in. And what this means is that there is a rich cultural heritage just waiting to be explored. And I think I come from the development perspective and sitting here with all the tourism stalwarts from the northeast part of India, it becomes imperative that we take the right steps and the right approach to bring in that development, because it's a fragile ecosystem and these communities are very rich in what they possess. But we have the right time and opportunity now to bring in tourism in a very sustainable and a very environmental friendly, a nature-based tourism that ultimately benefits the last mile, which is these communities, which is these villagers. Because if we go towards the mass tourism kind of approach, it is not really going to augur well. And 5 years or 10 years down the line, we'll be sitting in such a panel and discussing what can we do now to correct our course. So instead of doing the course correction later, we are at the right junction where we can put in the right steps and the right investments, where tourism is not only limited to a handful of people, but it is dispersed across. There are not just a handful of destinations, but there are multiple destinations. And Northeast has, if you look at the entire Northeast part of India, there are so many states, so many tribal communities, and every tribal community has their own culture and heritage which they can showcase. And the best way to do that is to leverage homestay based tourism, because then you not only stay with these communities in their authentic settings, but you also contribute to their livelihood and income generation. And what we have seen in our experience at GHE of working with these remote communities in Ladakh and Meghalaya and Nagaland is that there is very much a pull from these communities. You're not going to push, because that never works. But these communities really welcome such initiatives. They look forward to hosting travelers. They look forward to development coming to them. It's not just about creating smart cities, but how can we create smart villages with sustainable tourism being the anchor for development. And what we have seen is, and this is very much come from our experience of working in these villages, is that the spirit of entrepreneurship, which you find within the young people, the young men and women here. We were recently at the village in Kaho in Arunachal in the Anjaw district. There, when we met the woman, we asked her, would you like to have a homestay? She said, I am very much prepared to host travelers. And she even quoted a rate. She said, I'll charge 1,300 rupees per night. And these are the experiences I'll give to the travelers. So they are very much, driven. They understand tourism. But also one of the things that she mentioned was, I want to bring in travelers to, showcase what we have here in the village, but also I want to ensure that they leave behind a sustainable footprint and do not pollute the destination or do not pollute my village. So that sense of, bringing in sustainable development and sustainable tourism is not just within the, the entire ecosystem, but also the community wants it. And so I think this panel is very well put together to ensure that we send out the right communication, we ensure that we take the right steps forward to bring in development that is not just one time, but is enabling these communities to come out of poverty and to really showcase Northeast as that pillar of growth and the engine of growth for India, and especially mark the way in terms of how can tourism really bring in development to the most remotest corners of India as well. So
Absolutely.
that's something, Soiti, that I wanted to. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
I think that's where this whole narrative about how we travel changes so much. And that's where the whole cycling and how to really go, not just cycling is about minimizing the carbon footprint, but also the fact that you can actually go into territories and areas where you wouldn't go otherwise. And I think that's why it's so important, especially for a country like India, which has so much to offer, that we don't just keep clustering. And that's what I would like to ask Sanjay, that while you do this campaign and travel for the next 10 days, how do you see this developing as a thought in times to come? Is he there? I think some connection issues. No? He's saying he's not able to rejoin. Okay, so let's move on. I'll just help him to rejoin.
No problem. In fact, one of the things that Jaideep just mentioned, and I think that's a critical issue, which is, this is, while it's an opportunity to, put the right foot forward and represent the communities of the Northeast in the best way possible, it is not an easy feat, because as we've seen in the past and in other places as well, there is a lot of, there is always a risk of misrepresentation or lack of homework, as I put it. So perhaps I could draw into the conversation a very dear friend from Nagaland, Fijin Konyak, who's the author of the Konyak's Last of the Tattooed Headhunters, and she also runs a beautiful Konyak tea retreat in Mon district. But I think she's doing a fabulous job also by growing oranges and trying to bring in coffee plantation in a place that is otherwise known for tea, so that she can regenerate forests that were native. So Fijin, welcome. And I'll also, at the same time, I would like to probably draw in Sanjeev Walson, if he's there. Sanjeev, his introduction is a long one, because it's just like several bogies in a train. He's a filmmaker, author, journalist, photographer, and an environmentalist, all of which he does fabulously, of course. But why Sanjeev is here today is because he's traveled widely in the Northeast, especially in Arunachal Pradesh, where he's been the project editor of Outlook Traveler, Arunachal Pradesh Tourism Guidebooks, and is currently working on another book on tribal food and culture in the state. So Fijin and Sanjeev, maybe Fijin, you could first start, and then Sanjeev could take it on from there. Can you tell us what you think, what is the kind of representation that needs to go out, especially when we are talking about tribal cultures and food? Because a lot of people who are also wanting to travel there seem to have a few misconceptions. They're not really sure about things like food, especially, is often seen as being a problem. Is it possible to eat in the Northeast if I don't like bamboo shoot, or if I don't eat non-vegetarian food? Or is it possible to be to go there and be safe if I'm traveling alone? So Fijin, can you chime in and tell us a little bit of what you think, especially since you've represented your tribe so beautifully?
See, people from mainland India, they come and visit us. They think that, most people think that Naga people or tribal people only eat meat from morning till for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. that is not the case. We also grow a lot of vegetables, and traveling in Northeast, yeah, of course we do eat a lot of meat, but there are also many options for vegetarians. We also have dal nowadays. Dal, potatoes, so many kinds of green. So there are many options for vegetarians. It's not only meat. So there's a wrong misconception that we only eat meat, and that vegetarians don't have much. That is not true.
Thank you so much, Fijin. I think there is a lag in the network. I believe there's been a very, there's been a big storm this evening. So this is, this is something that we were only half expecting. But if she can join in again later, maybe we'll have her in. Sanjeev, if you are there, could you perhaps talk about it as well? Could you tell us what you think, why people don't do their homework, and what kind of homework should be involved when you're communicating about tribes that have such a rich heritage and culture, especially since since you are not really technically officially a citizen of you are unofficially a citizen, but you're officially not from the Northeast. Yeah, you'll have to unmute yourself, Sanjeev.
I think Sanjay is probably trying to log back. Hopefully he will soon.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sanjeev,
I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, Sanjeev.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm back. Okay, so as Fijan was also saying, now there are lots of cliches about the Northeast, especially about food. Like she was saying about non-veg, whatever. But a lot of people don't know that in the Northeast, people eat more green veggies than in the rest of India. Because meat is like sometimes negotiable, like sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't, whatever. But green veggies is something you always have to have. So that's one misconception about northeastern food. Of course, northeastern food by itself is also another misconception, because every state has its own cuisine, and there are certain things in common. But one of the things they all have in common is that the focus on having leafy greens. And another thing that they have in common is having a lot of wild foods, like forest foods, which are organic and which are completely, better for health than the rest of, what you might eat in other places, even in a vegetarian restaurant. So the thing about representation of the Northeast now, and also the homework you need to do. Well, one thing you need to do is also get rid of the cliches. There are these cliches that Northeast is okay, the food is difficult, the people maybe XYZ or whatever. But what I can say is that the people are really nice. They're extremely hospitable. They're very friendly, very fun loving. And also the thing is that if you have a friend from the Northeast, he or she is your friend for life. Which is, these are all, and of course they love to have fun. And many states also have their regional wines, which is extremely interesting. Because, for example, Arunachal itself has got some 26 tribes. Each tribe has got its own wine. Every state has got its own grain wines and things like that. So in Arunachal, you call it apong, but different tribes have different names in their own languages. So the Northeast has this combination of ingredients, which is like fun-loving people, great landscapes, very interesting culture, which is very completely different from the rest of India. Very different kind of cuisine, whatever. So all this in combination makes it like every traveler's dream. What keeps people away from the Northeast is that they feel that they have a certain lack of access. They don't know where to start, where to, whom to approach, where, what agency, which place, things like that. So, and also what the gentleman earlier were talking about is that, maybe we shouldn't have that many tourists also. We should have a few people, but quality tourists who are, who are good for the ecosystem, and also for the culture. So a lot of people talk about ecotourism, which is true. Okay, good, you should have ecotourism, but what you need also is cultural tourism, so that when you go there, people appreciate their own culture, they feel more respected. So, things like crafts, in many states in the Northeast, lots of women know how to weave. There's also bamboo weaving. Then there's also house building. So in many states in the Northeast, every man is expected to know how to build a house with bamboo. So these are like completely alien things to people from the rest of India. So cultural tourism is, or rather eco-cultural tourism, I feel that is one neglected part of tourism, and that's one thing one should prepare to enjoy in the Northeast, eco-cultural, where the lines between ecology and indigenous culture really blur, and they're all the same.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I hope that happens. And one of the ways I think that might happen is if we write more and more about it and write the way the way the kind of writing that you do or Pidgin does or Sanjay does. And in fact, Sanjay, if you're there, I believe you're planning to write about this trip as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Are you planning to write about the trip? I hope you are.
Absolutely. And for any writer, any opportunity is worth converting into a book because that's what he wants to do and or she wants to do, and that's what gets you some moolah. So I haven't written any non-fiction, and I was thinking for a long time that maybe it's time for me to at least come up with a non-fiction. And this ride is providing, there are so many things, and my inspiration is a book called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. And I was thinking of somehow connecting taekwondo and the art of cycle maintenance, and my getting to know Northeast through this cycle. And yeah, so definitely there's something uh, which is brewing in my head, and I will be coming up hopefully in a year or so. I'll have all this mapped.
Perfect. Thank you
I'm going to
thank you
just,
so much.
Shweti, I just wanted to ask because Sanjeev mentioned about the food and the culture and the wine thing here. And I just wanted to ask Sanjay because he mentioned in the beginning that he's been traveling in the last 3.5 years that he's been posted there. So what's your ground level experience and how would you, sort of create a message if you want to create from here that how has your experience been about food, about stay, about travel generally in the different parts of Northeast?
Right. So as Sanjeev was just talking about how much greens, I was actually amazed how much greens people eat out here, and probably that explains why the figures are so lean and they don't have, despite their rice eating. But the amount of greens they consume is amazing. Whether it is pork that they are cooking, fish, any meat that they are cooking, there's always some amount of green. So coming to the point that you were asking, my experience has been that from the day one I came to Northeast, not as a tourist but kind of semi-resident. Uh, I have never found any problem connecting with anyone. Yeah, but one thing is there that as long as you are willing to connect and you are happy trying to understand a slightly different part of the country, they are more than happy to welcome you. They are the most hospitable a lot of people I have come across. The cultural diversity, the diversity of cuisine, Naga food is somewhat like what we would say Andhra food. It's supposed to be very hot. And the first time I had the Naga sausage, which is so well known, it reminded me of Goa, because Goa, those churritos, I think they are called, and sorpotel, that hot stuff. That's what this Naga food was. And then somebody came from Nagaland. His 85-year-old mother had made this sausage at home, and that was even hotter. And then you go to Khasi, you have food which is bland, and then you come to Assam, where there is a lot of Bengali influence, as Soiti probably would know. Arunachal Pradesh, as Sanjeev was talking about, there are 28, 29 races, and the way they talk about Arunachali is everybody speaks Hindi, by the way. Everybody speaks Hindi. And I had this fantastic experience of a very remote place in extreme east Arunachal called Hundi. It is after a pass called Mayodhya Pass. After that, you go to a place called Anini, which is practically deep inside China. And in this place, a couple of young guys, they came to us. We were sitting around a campfire, and they started singing. And fantastic, belting out one Hindi number. The first Hindi number they sang was from a film forgotten called Dosti. Meri Dosti, Tera Pyar. The two of them sang this. And that is how amazing it is. And the embrace you feel, the warmth you feel, that's simply amazing. Those who have not come to Northeast, those who have not felt that warmth, I would say, Hazar Bar Dekho, aao to sahi.
So, Meri Dosti Mera Pyar Pe, I would like to introduce at this point a dear friend, Sanjay Yogender Chaudhary has joined in. When I sent him the flyer, he had to join. For everybody else, Yogender is also from Sanjay's batch, and we've trained together, and an avid adventurer. You're very welcome. And Sanjay, he's doing his 1,000 kilometers. Bar bar dekho, hazar bar dekho. I of course keep saying dekho apna desh, dekho aur dikhao apna sundar Bharat. So something special from you for Sanjay on this occasion, Yogi bhai.
So everyone, please excuse me because I was not able to join with my link. So I have borrowed Rupinder's name also.
I know, so you can see two of me. That's fine.
And I am, when I was working as executive director of Nehru Yuva Kendra, then I used to have an office in each district of the country, and my minister was also holding donor. So he used to mostly merge the menu and used to take me along, when going to the Northeast. And I have, out of 52 districts which were there that time in the Northeast thing, I have traveled to 48 of them. And believe me, there is probably no other, region which has so much of diversity. What people who have not visited Northeast, the mistake they do is that they club it into one. And you will many times find people who have just gone to Guwahati and they claim themselves to be the expert of Northeast. So nothing can be further than the truth, I traveled extensively. I traveled up to the village level, and I loved each part of it. Just for an example, it will take one day to explain the whole bouquet, but unless you go there, you don't realize that most of Assam is the valley, and then Arunachal and Nagaland bordering and Meghalaya are the mountains, and then the bordering districts of Nagaland are DC administered districts, and they are also the most educated. And when you travel across the place, you realize that how the districts which are further away and not joining Assam, they are not so developed. Very, very interesting place. If you go to Naga villages, it will put your Delhi farmhouses or Chandigarh farmhouses to shame. The villages are so neat and clean that you cannot believe, we very casually say वो tribal है, but वहाँ जाके आपको सीधा doubt लगेगा कि कौन tribal है और कौन civilized है. Even small kids will not throw wrappers. There are dustbins across the state, across villages, and it's so neat and clean. I can show you pictures sometime. And specifically now, to what Sanjay Bahadur did. Sanjay, is a versatile personality. Raymond का जो ad आता है, complete man. So right from being a writer to one of the finest officer I ever met with, and a brother and a batchmate all rolled together into one. He is a very versatile, personality. Um, I am presently holding the charge of Principal Secretary, Sports and Youth Affairs, apart from my duty as advisor to the Chief Minister Haryana. And inspired by what Sanjay is doing and keep sharing, we have small part of the hills adjoining Himachal, and we have just started uh, MBT cycling and then the paragliding and trekking in the hills adjoining Chandigarh. So you are all.
एक second.
I think we've lost him.
Sanjay, you want to say
Just a
something?
second.
Because I think we've lost Vijay's voice in any case.
I could see him, but yeah, that is Yogender. He's always into something, and even I haven't done. I've been here for 3.5 years, but out of the 52 districts, I haven't done 48, as Yogi was just saying, and that was on his visit. But to continue with what I was talking about, that it's just an amazing place, and over the years, what has happened? A lot of apprehension that people from bigger cities, the typical tourists they have, that they're okay going to Goa. They're okay going to Goa and staying in a homestay. But if they are coming to Northeast, they would say, hotel kahan hai? Koi dhang ka hotel hai? And then you tell them that, look, just as you are so happy being in a homestay in Goa, you have some fantastic homestays in Northeast. And as Yogendra was saying, uh, whole of Northeast is so clean, so hygienic. It's just in their system. This is a way of life, and you can go to the remotest place. You'll find a very nice, comfortable, and clean place to stay. Food to eat, even for vegetarians. Like I was saying, and like Sanjeev was saying, uh, for vegetarians, there is absolutely no problem. Of course, there is less of tadka, there is less of ghee, there is less of chomp. But if you like greens, you love it.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. That's I think a lot of the misconceptions are being tackled today, and I think that's fantastic, because part of the reason that we're having this conversation is to have these conversations about the discomfort or the misconceptions that we have about a region that is completely, that is often very misunderstood. One thing, though, I think I want to bring back into the conversation, it's about adventure tourism, about soft adventure and sports being a crucial element of tourism going forward. And, let me perhaps draw into the conversation Okin Tyng, who's the founder of Abor Country Travels. And to my mind, he's the one person responsible for putting Arunachal Pradesh on the map and doing it sustainably long before people talked about sustainability or knew what we were doing in terms of social sustainability. And the reason why I think Okin would be a fantastic person to draw into the conversation is also because he's been holding this, this platform called the Siang Rush, where he is promoting adventure tourism in the Northeast specifically, and bringing in people from all over the country to experience it themselves once a year. And it takes a lot to pull something like that together. Okin, may I welcome you, and could you perhaps tell us a little bit about what you think is great about? I know that you recently had a group cycling from Namsai to Pasighat. Tell us a little bit about, are there more people coming in to do cycling? Are there people wanting to do rafting? What is your experience?
Thank you, Soidi, for the kind words. And first of all, I would like to congratulate and wish Sanjay good luck on his great adventure. And I think it's just starting to be slightly warm out there, but I think the kind of physical and other credential he has, he can do it very easily. And he chosen a very interesting route indeed. And I wish him luck. Well, absolutely. Now Northeast is the destination. Everybody is headed here. and specifically at least one place. And we invite. I've been in this field for more than 15 years.
Okay. Okay, and I think
in the connectivity.
yeah, connectivity.
Having brought people to see and explore Northeast and Arunachal, India as well. So interesting that by UTC, we have wonderful property on the Terai area. Can you hear me? First thing I did when I got there was I went cycling, and after a long time. And when Sanjay talked about, you observe things in a much slower way, you really see things up close. And I just understood what he meant, So either we are walking or we are driving past, jeeping past in a car. But I think on a bicycle, it's the right kind of momentum, right kind of speed. You see things in a much slower perspective. You stop where you want to. You can talk to people. And at the same time, it's a great physical workout. It's one of the most underrated exercise, I think. It's really a good sports and a good exercise. Okay, so coming back, the cycling, I think is a big thing in Arunachal, definitely. For many years, our roads were pretty bad. You would have to cross multiple number of rivers by boat and the small ferries. I mean, 1 or 2 were fine, but sometimes you do 4, 5, 6 crossings. So it was a bit challenging. But now the roads are fantastic. And, you can mix it up with a little bit of off-road, but mostly tarmac. And I personally, what Soiti had mentioned, the Siang Rush is an initiative started by me. We choose a theme and gather a group of people, and try to get a targeted discussion and an outcome from each edition of the event. So, in our last one, we thought, we know there's so much of tourism all over the place, and many people have suffered from over tourism. It just get trampled by all the rush of people going everywhere. So, I thought it's time we look back and have a vision and try not to, get into this whole mass tourism, exploitative kind of situation. So, interestingly, the Birlas came with their private jet, flew by me and a colleague, Rohin. So, these things are possible, it made me realize, gave me lots of self-confidence. Now we're talking with Dalmias coming on the 26th of thing. So, so it's time we just not look at, regular budget kind of tourism, but also we need to push niche, high-end kind of thing. Those things are possible. And that is something that's not happening in anywhere in Northeast. So why don't we try and bring in that level of that class of tourism? But, I mean, apart from all these things, like my friends have discussed, Northeast is a place you can make really good friends. And I tell everybody, don't rush, don't get into this number game that I've been to Kohima, I've been to Aizawl. Take it easy, take it slow, imbibe and enjoy every place as you can. And, we make very good friends. We initially could be very close, a bit suspicious maybe, but once we get to know you, once you get to know us, we are friends for life. And then, I think that's, in my case, my wealth in my life is my friends. And I want more and more of that. And welcome there. And Sanjay, anything along the way, if I can do, I'm sure you have lots of strong network and friends, but anything I can do at all along the way, feel free to give me a call. And I thank the tourism, for putting together this. Thank you. I'll get back to you.
Thank you so much, Okin. And I can vouch for the fact that once you're friends with Okin, you will certainly have the time of your life when you're anywhere near him in his habitat. I had first-hand experience of it. So thank you, Okin. And this is a person who cannot swim, who cannot ride a bicycle. But even then, I think he showed hope in me and did what he could to make my experience fantastic. And I agree with him totally about high value, low impact tourism. There has to be a certain amount of that. Sanjay, you want to say something? I can see that you want to chime in. Were you trying to say something? You are on mute, Sanjay.
Unmute.
You unmute yourself.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay,
Yes,
can you
yes.
hear me? I just wanted to ask if you know Raju Tai.
Okay, and you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes, Sanjay, I know him very well. We are relative also, so you know.
Right. So, of course, and the area Pasighat, which is where this movie, which was the movie Rangoon, some scenes were shot in Pasighat. That is close to your where you stay,
Yes.
and that
Yes.
is where Rajuta is, rowing area and all
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
I'll look you up. I'll look you up. I'm passing close by.
Please do.
When I
Please
cross
do.
Bogibeel, yeah, I'm very close to Pasighat.
Please give me a call. I'll give you some apong if nothing else.
Okay.
There you go.
I got some here.
That's
Of course, this is from
All right.
Manipur.
Okay. The basics.
Yeah, thank you so much. Maybe, on that note, maybe we can raise a toast to the Northeast and maybe bring in a couple of people who are with us today. Actually, I wanted to actually first invite Kamal Gill. She's, she's the executive editor of today's Traveler and director Optimus Events.
Yeah.
So, Kamal, as a journalist, how do you think if this is you heard what Okin said, the kind of tourism that the Northeast wants, the kind of travelers that they're wanting to attract. So what do you think as journalists we can do to draw in that kind of traveler, to give them the reason to be in the Northeast?
Right. I think first I would like to congratulate all our panelists. Amazing. I wish I was part of one or the other cyclists who are, the groups that are going. But, I think the Northeast is fabulously poised, post the COVID in particular, to bring, anyone who really wants to get out of the house, that is the place to go to. If you noticed during, as soon as there was any kind of movement allowed, people have mostly, Insta and Facebook, everything is full of activities, soft adventure or hard adventures, all with snow and mountains, etc., etc. So I personally feel the Northeast is beautifully poised to be the destination for a large part of the country today. And the cycling, sport as a very simple activity which keeps the entire body engaged. It is light, but at the same time, it is strenuous. It's a fabulous activity. And you have so many groups right here in the capital, because it's you can take the flight from here, you can take the flight from Calcutta, you can take it from anywhere. And I think these, to begin with, one could plug into these many cycling groups that are in various cities and towns, and invite them on routes that you can map out. So I think that would be something. And of course, Rupinder is doing a fabulous job of putting the spotlight again and again on Apna Desh Dekho, Hazar Bar Dekho, and everybody gets gung-ho about it, and it's happening. It's happening. Every Indian is going. All right. So I think we've got it made. We need to plug into the cyclists to begin with, because I think it's a very good. It is non-invasive tourism.
Yes,
I think that's a very good way to start.
We should get it into a more nationwide and a pan-India theme, that would be wonderful. So Shweti, we can move on, I think, with the wonderful.
Yeah, because but it's lovely that you brought in. I just wanted to quickly touch upon the fact that I think post COVID, I was just reading somewhere that an Indian survey that came out in December that said that although the middle of the pandemic, when we were still in the throes of the pandemic and people were traveling nowhere, there was a lot of conversation about driving holidays, going to places which are connected by road to the location that you're in. But increasingly, there is also greater confidence. And one of these surveys quoted that 71%, and that's not a small number, had greater confidence in flying. So I think by that logic, Northeast is something that that will gain from this confidence. And I'm hoping that because once you're there, then you can do it all by road. But just getting there for those who are coming from states in which are slightly further off, I think people are flying more and more. And I think that you're absolutely right, Amal, about more people exploring the Northeast. So because we're running out of time, I just wanted to bring in this one last guest of ours today before I talk to Ms. Rupinder Brar about the government's role in this entire process. Julie Kalti, she is the founder of Curtain Call Adventures. She has been working through the COVID crisis, and this I know for a fact, to try and not just support, but also keep the spirits up of communities that are directly or indirectly connected to tourism in the Northeast. She leads tours in almost all the states, actually all the states in the Northeast, I correct myself, and is conveniently running away tomorrow to the border of Assam, and has very quickly told me that I'll be off the map for a few days. So Julie, welcome here. I wanted to ask you a very pointed and a very simple question. I think, as a woman, and I hate to bring in gender all the time, but it is absolutely crucial, I think, in this regard, that we talk about it, because a lot of women, especially especially in our country, millennials, a lot of young women are traveling. A lot of them are also traveling alone. And my experience, of course, as I'm sure has been yours as well, even though I only speak Hindi and English and Bengali and very broken versions of other languages, certainly no language of the Northeast, I have always been absolutely safe. And in fact, I felt safer in the Northeast than I have elsewhere. If they know that a single woman is traveling, and if I'm staying with a family there, which is how I often travel in homestays and so on, I have always felt more protected. They actually go out of their way to ensure that I am protected. But a lot of people tend to still, anybody who's not traveled to the Northeast, especially women, are always wondering, is it safe? There are large areas where there are not enough, maybe it's, is there safety? Is there protection? So Julie, what would you say to women who are traveling in the Northeast? And, I'm sure you have a lot of women travelers coming to you as well.
Yes, I do. I have a lot of women travelers who travel with me. I have a lot of single mothers. I mean, just the mother traveling with children. And that is, that's the level of confidence that people have. The Northeast is one of the safest places for women to travel. I travel a lot. I travel with my children, like my guests travel. It's, I've never had a complaint of any of my guests that they've had, they felt, not just that they were harassed, or they ever felt unsafe, even walking down a market or being in a festival or any homestay, no matter how interior it is. Because people here do respect, especially if you're living with a family, that they know the whole village, and that's a great thing. One of the advantages of staying, you could stay in a hotel and you'll have the same amount of safety, but even when you go into the interiors and there are no hotels and you're staying in a home, somebody's home, they look after you. The whole village looks after you. You become one of theirs. It's very, very safe to travel. I think the way now is the time when people like us, most of us in the panel, we are travel guides and we're travel curators from the region. It's our job now to actually talk to guests, tell them not just about food and textile, about the region, the weather, safety, what to do. I think we have to start educating our clients or our future clients on that.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge thing. And I perhaps you would also agree that some of the states in the Northeast actually have higher gender equality than anywhere else in the country, because they have matrilineal societies, they have matriarchal structures as well. So in a lot of cases I find that actually it's equal. Everybody is drinking a pong together, eating together, celebrating together, coming together for festivals. Yeah, that's you would you agree?
True. We have a very strong equality. There's I was in a conference recently in Haryana, and there they had a lot of issues that people came up with. It was a women's conference where people were talking from all over the world, all over the country, about dowry being a big thing, and women's place. The Northeast never had that. We never had caste system. So I think all that went in our favor. We had equal rights. We've always had equal rights to the men. You were never looked down, or you were not passed by just because you're a woman. And that has empowered us. Women have a lot of empowerment here. And I was telling you about Tripura. I've been to interior villages in Tripura where the head person is a woman. And these are of the Riang tribe. They're one of the most primitive tribes in India. And even if you go to their villages, you will see there's a level of equality. And when a woman is in charge, she makes sure that everybody toes the line pretty well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to
say
about, absolutely 3 times.
Talking about, anyway, I wanted to congratulate Sanjay. I hope you have a great trip. I was born in Digboy. So remember, I hope you have a great time there while you're there. And I've just finished a tour of Assam. And in Majuli, my guests, I had a mix of children and adults. There's a day we spent cycling. I walked, my guests cycle, because they said that if they walk with me, then I stop and wish every grandmother, and it's too much for them. So they always cycle. And I had a guest who took a challenge. She traveled the whole trip in saris, and she even cycled in a sari. Maybe I should do a cycling sari tour in the Northeast. Yeah?
Cycling in a mekla.
I'd love to join you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'd love to join you, Julie, when you do that.
Excellent.
Definitely.
No, and mekla I think would be perfect, even better than a sari in some respect, because I find the mekla one of the easiest things to wear. But since we are running out of time, I just wanted to tie the loose ends, so to speak, and invite another traveler who happens to be a woman and who also happens to be the ADG of at the Ministry of Tourism. So Ms. Brar, could you tell us what the government's vision is going forward in the Northeast, and also connected to why Hazar Bar Dekho, Northeast Dekho is important at this point?
Thanks, Shweti, and thank you everyone, and thank you Sanjay especially for agreeing for this session, because we know you're headed for a really arduous 10 days. It's certainly not going to be easy, despite all spirits and everything. But and that tells us the importance, and I said that at the beginning, that an event like this, we just could not have let it go by, because as all of you have in one way or the other touched upon aspects, that there is so much to be explored, and each state, again, that's the narrative coming through from all of you, that generally we just club it like a region, a Northeast region. Well, no, every district, every part of Northeast is different, one from the other. And so there is so much that needs to be given out. And I think that's where we as a government need to play a larger role in creating content, in reaching out and creating far more information than that exists currently. And this is today's session. Therefore, I kind of sort of pushed Sanjay. I said, no, last day you have to get ready. I know he needs to get into his zone, but it was important for us, because it is events like these and people like him and a lot of others who are, otherwise, I would say, quote unquote, regular people. I mean, they're not people who are doing this as a profession. You're doing other things in life, but you're also doing this. And I think that creates a lot of confidence. And this kind of initiative, we hope that more people will be incentivized. And through discussions like these, a lot of misconceptions go away, but a lot more needs to be done. And that's where I think we need to join hands with the stakeholders, with all the private partners, with media, with everybody working together traveling and banishing a lot of misconceptions, and also in the process creating a lot of livelihoods. And of course, Jaideep has touched on the part of sustainability, certainly doing so responsibly. And every time that we go, I think there is not just that we bring back memories for ourselves, but we also add so much value if we do things in a responsible manner, apart from just adding to livelihoods. So I think it's a very important time for us in India, and when we are doing Dekho Apna Desh, and I'm so happy that today, in fact, I've ended up doing a second Dekho Apna Desh. We had a morning Dekho Apna Desh, which was inspiring in an entirely different manner. There is a Seva women in 40 homestays in Gujarat in partnership with Airbnb, and none of them knows even a word of English. So there is certainly no barrier to entry in the profession just because you don't know English, and they get guests from all over the world. So that was inspiring in such a different way. And now this is the 80th Dekho Apna Desh. So we are trying to build that campaign, we are trying to build that narrative that there is just so much to be seen in India. And post-pandemic, the potential of domestic tourism has come to kind of look at us far more. It was always there. And I think that's, in a sense, the silver lining that has come out of the pandemic, that just we know we cannot travel out of India right now. And even if you were to be able to, I think there is that fear factor. So you want to be closer home, you don't want to be traveling too far. And everyone is suddenly discovering that there is so much in India. And on Dekho Apna Desh itself, I would like to say that when I started it on 14th of April last year, it was a lot of anxiety in the office that, are you sure you want to start this? How will you do 25 se zyada episode kaise karoge? And look, we are on our 80th discussion panel today. And I can assure you all that it's going so strong because people like Sanjay, people like all of you make up the Dekho Apna Desh. And if you guys are not going to stop doing everything that you are doing to explore India, there's no way we can stop our initiative. So that's where I think the role of the government in creating the right platforms, creating the correct information, in making sure that the large infrastructure is being done by the government. And there is a lot of thrust coming in that, whether it's the roads, whether it's the highways, the Bogeybill Bridge, which Sanjay is going to be crossing. So lots is happening. And I would suggest, therefore, to everyone that let's focus on what's happening and let's not just only keep ranting about what's not happening. And let's try and build a strong country together. It's a beautiful country, undoubtedly. Now, before we close, I'm going to ask everyone, and Sanjay, we'll, for a change, though the women normally have a last word, but today we'll give you the last word. So I'll ask everyone one-liner message for Sanjay as he heads out tomorrow at 8 a.m. and is going to be in his zone for the next 10 days. So Shwati, starting with you, one-line message for Sanjay.
Well, all the best, and I will raise my glass of water to you shortly. But if you are raising, if you can, please raise a glass of apong to yourself. And yes, absolutely, you you deserve it. All the very best to you. That's all I'll say.
Julie.
What a great thing, Sanjay. I'm sure you'll have a fabulous trip. Enjoy the polar cotton is in bloom right now, all over. And I'm sure that'll be lovely. Lots of fun with that. Yeah?
Thank you. And we will cycle together.
Big boy. Bye.
Sanjeev, can we have something from you? You need to unmute yourself.
To unmute, yeah. Sanjay, you are going on a route that I haven't taken either, and I am kind of living through your cycling trip. Also, I'm also a cycling fan, and please share lots of pictures, share lots of videos. We'd love to follow your trip.
Thank you.
Supuraj.
Yeah, all my best wishes for Sanjay sir. I'm sure you are going to have a good trip, and make sure you drink a lot of water and take a whole meal after every 4 hours.
Right.
Have a good trip,
I will keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kamal.
Yes. Sanjay, all the best. And we will all be living your experiences. And I would love that you share your videos. I did put a message Please share your videos, pictures, images, and we'll splash them all over today's Traveler and any other social media handle that we can get through.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kamal.
All the best.
Thank you.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. So Sanjay sir, best wishes, and I think you are truly going to live the motto behind this entire series, "देखो अपना देश" और "देखो अपना देश" एक बड़े ही अलग अंदाज से और एक साइकिल पे. So good luck to you, Sanjay.
Fejin.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Fejin, are you able to connect?
Fejin? She was here 2 minutes ago. Fejin? Oh dear.
Is there anybody else left who wants to wish Sanjay before I wish, and then he, of course, will have the last word today? Okay, I think everybody's done. So I'm going to say, Sanjay, all the best to you in your हजार बार देखो अपने सुंदर अतुल्य भारत को. मैं तो हमेशा ही कहती हूँ और आज भी कहूंगी, देखते और दिखाइए रहिए अपना सुंदर अतुल्य भारत. All the best to you. Keep sending us lots of feed. We will keep putting it out, and many more such travels. And I hope that soon you're not just going to do the Northeast, but you're going to do the entire India and the world. And so all the best. And now the last word from you. You need to unmute.
Sorry. I said, thank you, everyone, and thank you for giving this opportunity to interact with so many well-wishers. And trust me, you know, when I'm going to start tomorrow, the mental space I am going to be, I will need every goodwill, every good wish, and I'll remember all of you. And the last line, of course, is Hazar Bar Dekho, Northeast Dekho. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So namaste. Have a great journey, Sanjay. And see you all soon. Bye. Good night.
Good night.